Spirituality is also fundamentally and ultimately about letting go, because if God dwells in our innermost core, authentic spirituality is about subtraction. The book really rests on 4 pillars. The first is quite simply the path of joy and happiness and satisfaction and pleasure and fulfillment, that crafting an intentionally simple life is a more pleasurable alternative than other ways to let a life unfold. The second pillar has to do with spirituality itself. And I'm of the conviction that a genuine, authentic spirituality always places you up against the limits of your own willpower, of your own mortality and strength and courage. And so you're always having to face your limits in an intentional spiritual walk. You're always going to encounter loss, and how to be present to loss in a way that doesn't cause you to lose your faith. It is an important part of spiritual growth. And spirituality is also fundamentally and ultimately about letting go, because we think that spirituality may be just a matter of learning enough stuff, or adding enough wisdom, or soaking enough up from a guru figure or from scripture or whatever. But in point of fact, if God dwells in our innermost core, authentic spirituality is about subtraction. It is not about adding on to everything. It is about shedding what gets in the way of our seeing God dwelling in the midst of us. So if the first pillar is satisfaction and pleasure, the second pillar is that simplicity resonates with the deepest threads of authentic spirituality. The third pillar, and I should say that those first 2 are kind of having to do with your interior life. The second 2, or the last 2, have to do with outward-facing values. So the third pillar has to do with being connected with and in solidarity with others, particularly with those who are poor, because it's really easy to talk about spirituality as this fun pastime of those who are otherwise comfortable middle-class people. But in point of fact, cultivating a simple life is a way to be in friendship with, in solidarity with, in service to people whose poverty is involuntary. When you choose to do without something, even though you could have it, that is a way of being present to those who don't have that choice because of force of circumstance. And then the fourth pillar, also an outward-facing pillar, but honestly, all of these have an interior dimension as well, is the love of and connection to the natural world. Of course, we're part of the natural world. That's not a strong separation, but it's the acknowledgement that we are ecological selves, that we all occur in this context of a living creation, this finely interconnected, balanced, wounded, hurting, beautiful world that God has made and sustains, and that our choices, our life choices, have ramifications for how that world fares, how our world fares, whether it stays healthy or is sick and degraded, and how we connect and relate within this world that is far more than just the human, the entirety of the living world. So 4 pillars: pleasure and satisfaction, authentic spirituality, solidarity with others, particularly the poor, and connection with the rest of the natural world. That's the basic framework of the book. And then we jump into the practical elements, and we can talk about that as well.